Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, WeatherTech, Hum by Verizon, RockAuto.com, and State Farm. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, Brian Robinson.
Hey, got my own intro. Got it like that. Nice. Those of you expecting John Davis, sorry about that. Not this time around.
He's had enough of us.
That's in Europe what I heard. For a little pre-Paris Auto Show scouting, as they say. Helping me get through this podcast number 190 today is Road Test producer Ben Davis.
Brian Robinson, thanks for having me, man.
It's always a pleasure. Former Road Test producer, current online content coordinator, Greg Carlos.
That's me.
Over the Edge reporter, Zach Maskell, adjusting his seat.
Thank you.
To give you the proper information.
Felt a little too high there.
And video producer / editor / Pennsylvania's finest, Joe Lago.
Thanks for having me.
Glad you could be here, Joe. So we'll do our normal lightning round, viewer questions, rant and rave, et cetera, et cetera. First, let's jump right in with the cars we've been testing lately. Porsche 911 GT2 RS.
The grand finale first.
What makes it so special?
Well, it is rear-wheel drive, but it has the engine out of the Porsche 911 Turbo S. So, and it's like even more power than the Turbo S, I believe. It's had 700 horsepower from a flat six, which is just madness.
And it's super rigid and super light. And
that's the
crazy looking.
It's the first variation of a 911 that I've got into and said this thing is a handful. Because normally you can get into a 911, even like a GT3, and you're like, I could probably drive this on a daily basis. I don't think I could with the GT2.
This is not that car. I even feel the same way.
This car will kill you.
Not to mention I drove it in the rain, and I was fearing for my life. No exaggeration.
This car will kill you.
Yeah, what's so deadly about it?
I mean, as soon as you turn the wheel.
In the best way possible, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
As soon as you turn the wheel, it is there. I mean.
Kill you with its awesomeness.
I always think, when I drive these cars, like, would I let a friend of mine drive this? And normally the answer is yes. With this car, just absolutely not. It's exactly what you want. It is like one of the ultimate driver's cars.
So instead of like a built-up 911, it's more like a street version of the 911 race car, cup car.
That's an accurate description of it. Tons of aero treatment all over, big wing on the back. There's those vents over each front fender. It actually has a really nice looking stand. If you were to take away some of the aero treatment, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I understand why it's there. If you were to take away some of that, and the way that thing is stanced, and just specifically the wheel gap in the rear is just drop dead gorgeous, man. I mean, that car has some beautiful lines in the way it sits. So, I mean, I know I'm probably in the minority, but if I had the money to buy this, I would probably like lose the wing and try to make it as sleeperish as possible.
Not me.
So at $300,000,
that's a boatload of cash.
That is a lot of money. PDK only. I thought
complaining people.
I thought it was, it weighs 1,500 pounds less than like a Dodge Demon, but similar horsepower. But for $300,000, then you could pay like another $50,000, I think it is, or close to it for the Y-Stock package. Which
is what we had, right?
It just shaves like another 20 pounds.
Which is traditional, like Porsche, right? You pay extra money and get less. Like it deletes the radio and deletes other stuff to, don't get like interior door handles or something, right?
We had the package and we still have the radio. That's just a separate option.
More carbon fiber and other weight taken out.
But you're right about the pull straps on the doors.
Yeah, they do sell you a watch and then charge you for the second hand if you want that, for the minute hand.
But looking at the track footage, I put the road test together, which you can watch on MotorWeek or on YouTube when it goes up. Oh man, what a crazy car! We had it at Summit Point, just watching it go around, the noise, the look, and I mean, there are a few times where things get a little bit gnarly. It's not. And, the car was clearly a handful. Dave Scrivener, who did most of the track footage.
That's why right there. Screwdriver.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even he told me that it was the best track car he has ever driven. I said, seriously? Of all that, he's like, well, maybe like the Ferrari Enzo was a close second. But He claimed to me, I swear he told me this yesterday, it was the best track car he ever drove.
Yeah, people,
Go ahead, man.
People ask me all the time, the number one question you guys get is what?
What's your favorite car?
Yeah.
How'd you get that job, man?
Well, that's number two. But the first car
park that there?
Why do you
what's
look
the
the way
thing?
you do?
The best thing you've ever driven. I mean, this car is definitely up there. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody say something negative about it, though. I feel like we've just been loving it.
Well, it was the record holder at Nürburgring, but only for a month till Lambo beat it. So
True.
That Lambo had a cage in it.
Yeah.
So
You think that takes away from its
Can't
cred?
you get a cage in the GT2?
you can.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that one had a cage in it.
Now,
I recall
the
correctly.
only complaint I can think of that I've heard from the other staffers I've talked to, and I don't know what you guys think about it, when we drove the GT3 at Roebling, which is naturally aspirated, there's kind of this, do you really need the extra power that comes with a GT2? Like, is the 3 good enough that you don't need the 700 horses of the GT2? What do you guys think?
Well, it's always good enough, but that's not the point of buying a track car or, the
Can
best
always be
Porsche has to
faster.
offer. Yeah. All right. I think we covered that well enough, unless anyone has anything to add.
Cadillac time.
All right.
Tell us what we got coming up, Robinson, then I'll take it.
Now, for our next vehicle, let's learn about a Cadillac, specifically an XT4 from Ben Davis. Take it, Ben.
Yeah, fresh back from Seattle on that trip. It's Cadillac's all-new compact luxury crossover. It's their first ever. And some may say it's a little late, but it's here, and it's pretty nice. I mean, it rides on an all-new Cadillac-only architecture for now only. I'm sure it'll trickle down through GM as time goes by. And even though it's a 2-liter turbo, it's not the same 2-liter turbo. It's all new. And it provides a pretty stout... the horsepower isn't... The numbers aren't great on paper. You got 237, 258.
That's legit.
It's legit for a 4, but yeah, I've seen more legit. Anyway, it translates into a beautiful everyday driver, though. I mean, the torque is right there at 1,500 RPMs to 4,000 RPMs, and the 9-speed is dialed in. So there's just a tremendous amount of torque and power all the
Transmission
time.
finally is well behaved.
Yeah, it upshifts clean and it downshifts clean, and it doesn't hunt at all, and there's plenty of torque there. It's a big car, too, despite being quasi-small. You don't have a whole lot of room for luggage in the back. But as far as passengers go, front and back, plenty of room there, even for big ones.
Still have the Q interface.
Q's been changed up a little bit. They still call it Q, but now you have a rotary controller and a volume knob. And a lot of your quick go-to climate buttons and heated seat buttons, they all have buttons now instead of just going through the Q. So, and they're redundant, and you can still control them through Q. But it's definitely an improvement.
Rotary knobs are the way to go.
Yeah, so
People are starting to not like touchscreens.
I will
It's like
say,
a big
though,
thing.
I got back into an RDX, and I did try that pad out again. And to clear the record up, it's not as bad as I originally thought it was. Once you learn how to use it, it's
all
actually
that
pretty
stuff's
decent.
definitely a learning curve. But
Yeah.
who's going to really feel comfortable with it on a test drive? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
That's what it's all about.
You're right.
Yeah.
So as far as look, is it like more traditional Caddy look, or are they trying something new?
It's got some, as from the profile, it's kind of vanilla, but from the front and back, it really excels. The front's got, it's got the standard Cadillac family headlight, the really long vertical light. It's got kind of like a stamped-in cow look hood to it that looks pretty aggressive, I thought, from the front. And you got your, it looks a lot like an XT5 up front. In the back, same long vertical taillights. They said that they were inspired by or transplanted from the CTSV wagon. They took a lot of inspiration in those taillights and kind of tried to make them look like that.
Speaking of which, I think they could make a pretty awesome XT4V version. I think
That would be cool.
I mean, I assume they didn't talk about that, and they rarely do unless
No.
it's happening. But least maybe a V Sport option.
Say, does the
that would be
XT,
cool.
what is it, the XT5? That's the next one
Midsize,
up.
yeah.
Does it have a V Sport or a V version?
I'm aware of.
I was gonna say, well, that's
Not
John Davis's big thing is he's predicting there's going to be sport versions of every SUV out
If they're
there.
going to compete with BMW and Mercedes, they kind of have to, right? 'Cause that's what everybody does.
Everybody's buying
the
M
highest-
package stuff for BMW.
It's an easy way for them just to make more money. You know,
The highest they're going that they're telling us now is sport, and with that you can get an optional adaptive suspension. That's
good.
about it.
Now-
GM's version is good.
One thing you talked about in the first look video you did was the cam
watch the first
timing
look. Fool.
stuff. Is
Yeah, watch my first look.
Go watch the first look.
Yeah, they're calling it the tri-power.
Dry power.
That's cool.
Which
Yeah.
that was a carburetor thing from
that's like-
Yeah,
way back
nobody
when.
seemed to
At least it's from
catch
GM, though, right?
catch the hint during the press briefing. Nobody
That's
questioned
retro.
about
Most
it.
people there wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Probably never heard of it before.
I had never got a chance to ask somebody if it was intentional, but I have to think it is.
yeah,
right?
for sure.
So, but what does that do? Because I know you explained that, but to the uninitiated, what's so special about that?
It's I guess it's a version of valve timing. Somebody school me better on that. Essentially, it's a cam lobe. It's got like and we'll show the graphic. as
Insert
this
graphic
plays.
here.
yeah.
But it has 3 different stages of lobes on it, and it slides across the shaft. And if you're dialing maximum torque, it'll just align the highest lobe that it has there, so that you get that torque. But when you're not using it, it'll go into pretty much a flat plane and
Fuel
deliver
economy
your
mode.
highest economy.
Yeah.
But it all works so. I mean, GM. If you can fault them on a lot of things. You know, you can fault them on
have.
designs and tolerances
Regularly
and
do.
gaps in here. But one thing you can't fault them on is powertrains, man. They
story.
really nail it there.
And they're getting crazy.
Inventive.
Yeah, so not only they have that with Cadillac, but then the dynamic fuel management with their Chevy, the Silverado.
Right.
I mean, these engines are so advanced now. I
It's
hope that they hold up. I
And
mean,
they-
we'll see. I'm sure we'll see the message boards blowing
Yeah,
up.
well,
soon.
they said they tested it like 1.5 million cycles. They tested it before they brought it to market, and they did do magnetic ride first, right?
Sure. Now everybody's using some form of it.
Yeah, even Ferrari.
Yeah, well, I think we've reached the limit of our technical knowledge there, so we better move on before we
Start
surpass
sounding
it.
like idiots.
Yeah.
I think we've already passed that point.
And now for a vehicle that requires no technical knowledge. How about the Subaru Forester?
The Subaru Forester. People sure do like Subarus, don't they?
They sent you down into like hurricane country to drive this.
Well, not intentionally. That was unfortunate. I was in Asheville, North Carolina for this one. Just happened to avoid the hurricane, so while Maryland was getting hit with the residual, I was actually okay in North Carolina. So if you look at the new Forester, you're not going to notice a huge change, and I don't think Subaru intends to really mess with a good formula. Similar looking on the outside. They've taken away turbo power, which a lot of people will freak out about and have freaked out about, but I don't see the point in freaking out because the Forester, let's be honest, for what it is, it's not a performance SUV. And as much they have made it that way in the past, but at this point, people just want something that's efficient. They want to haul people around. They want to haul stuff. So the 2.5 liter is updated, 182 horsepower, which is more than the previous. It still has a CVT, an updated one, and it works fine. I mean, CVTs now are good. Are they what we prefer? No. Do they deliver power smoothly? Yes. Most people aren't going to care that there's a CVT in here. The good news is it's 33 miles per gallon. Oh, hey now.
That's never happened. Sorry,
Oh
guys.
my God. I've completely lost my train of thought.
Jeez, I'm
And we
embarrassed.
must start over.
Fan mail.
Sorry, it's my agent.
It's probably GM calling about. You described that camshaft entirely wrong, Ben.
We didn't know the tri-power meant.
Carburetors.
Anyway,
bring an
back to the
engineer in
Forester,
here.
guys.
Back to the Forester, if I can remember.
CVT trans.
CVT transmission. So yeah, 33 miles per gallon on the highway, and we're talking about a full time or a standard all-wheel drive vehicle, and that's actually 33 miles per gallon highway is better than quite a few front-wheel drive vehicles in its segment. So that's a big deal. New global architecture, riding on the same one as I'm
Impreza.
assuming Crosstrek 2 now, right?
Yep. And believe it or not, the Ascent as well.
Yeah, and it feels really refined. It's smooth. It's comfortable. The seats are more comfortable inside. It feels like it's more sophisticated of a vehicle than its price would suggest. So that's good. There's a lot of tech inside. You get eyesight, safety features, standard, so that's blind spot monitoring, forward collision warning. There's also now you can get facial recognition as part of their driver attention system, which if you're looking down too long, it'll beep at you. If you're looking away from the road, it'll just let you know, hey, stop doing whatever you're doing and pay attention to driving. But the cool thing, so we've seen facial recognition in Cadillac with Super Cruise. But this is also tied into a convenient feature. So the driver memory, when you can push a button, it'll set your seat to where you like it. It'll set your mirrors. This will actually recognize your face.
Wow!
So instead of having to push a button or go through a screen menu, it'll save up to 5 people, I think, and it'll actually recognize who you are and set where your seats are. And they were super careful to say we do not log any data. It doesn't remember anything.
So you have to sign it.
We are supposed to just believe them at this.
Neither does Snapchat.
I'm not going to go in and realize this.
What's wrong, Hal?
Yeah. So what you have to
Greg?
sign a privacy policy before you can drive the car.
Who knows? But they claim it doesn't.
Now, could that be used for parental controls? You remember when Ford or Chevy had the My Key
They still
thing?
do, yeah.
Where you could limit teenagers to a certain speed or certain
I don't see
volume.
why they couldn't. It's just a few extra lines of code, I'm sure. I mean, if it's already recognizing your face for one thing, it can do it for another.
Don't let this driver go over 65.
Well, what about that unfortunate night that you're heading to a Halloween bash, though, and you
you
got
have
some
your Batman
prosthetics on or something?
Have
But you
your
could
Batman
probably
mask
still
on.
set the
That
seat
day, you're
controls.
going to have to.
For some of us, it's
Manual.
just every other week.
And it's probably in the same position.
So you guys are going to have to
You're
find
gonna be the only one
you're
that
gonna have
drives
to find
it
a way
anyway.
around that. For
You just
us.
get alerts on your phone constantly. It's like, Batman has stolen your car.
Just suck it up and move your mirrors and seat on your own.
Or use the last memory spot to save Batman as one of the options.
What if
facial recognition.
Zach Subaru thinks he's Paul Walker's ghost or something?
Too soon, dude.
Wow.
But anyway, so back,
You got started with
wrap it up,
I don't know what to say.
back on track.
Wrap it up, man.
New Forester is every bit as good as the old one, better in a lot of different areas. Actually, all around better. Nicer inside, cleaner looking outside. They did add auto stop start. Personally, I thought it was a little rough. And this is, I think, their first non-hybrid car to have auto stop start. So I thought it was a little bit rough, but again, it's just something that we deal with now. Cars have auto stop start.
Is it easy to turn it off?
Yeah, it's just a button. Speaking of buttons, you know how many buttons and switches and paddles are on their steering wheel in a premium Forester?
Way
or
too
touring
many.
Forester?
A lot.
I think it was 19 or 20.
Wow.
Between the paddles, all the selectors on the front, there's the buttons just below the steering wheel to
the left
mess
there?
with- yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
they're everywhere. It's just too much. Too much.
What do you want them to do?
I want them to recognize my face and see and understand my thoughts and know exactly.
And make those switches disappear.
So-
I want to
If you-
think that I want the volume set at 7, and I want it to do that.
It'll be
You
here
frown
before
and the
know it.
wipers turn on.
Exactly.
Right on.
Is that too much to ask?
Also, no manual transmission anymore for the 12
No, man,
customers
you're right.
who
I
wanted
forgot that. But come on, people.
Yeah.
Are you really surprised?
I'm sure the 17 people that got a standard base Forester will be upset.
I think you said you could feel this one shift a little bit more, though, right?
Yeah, I think they programmed the CVT to step. That's what they call it. That's what everybody calls it, stepping. So there's no gear change, but it simulates a gear change because I think for the sole purpose of fooling people into thinking that it's an automatic.
Something's actually happening, yeah.
Yeah, so other than that, I don't think there's any real technical advantage to it unless anybody here knows.
Yeah, this has been one technical podcast for sure. We'll have to move on from that.
Don't fact check us, please.
Or do. That's fine either way. All right, moving on to our lightning round. Each panelist will get 30 seconds to weigh in on a trending automotive topic or just this question. Volkswagen recently announced it's stopping Beetle production in 2019. What are everyone's thoughts on the departure of this automotive icon?
Sad.
Wait your turn.
Hashtag.
All right,
sad.
officially, it's Zach going first.
Okay,
Start
Zach,
the timer.
you're on the
Joseph.
clock.
All right. My buddy had one. It was like an 87, and he had his license before all of us in the neighborhood.
You're like a gray market.
Early, man.
Or wait.
97 maybe.
97. I say 87. I think it was 97, and he was like, no way anybody's going to be able to drive this thing. And wait, what years were they offered?
Your time's up, fool.
You're talking about the new
Beetle
Which
came
one are we talking about?
Moving on, Ben.
I think they
Your
started in 96, 7, or 8. Something
Your turn, Ben.
Yeah.
I, for one, will be sad. I've owned a couple of Beetles throughout my
I
life.
thought we were going to talk about all Beetles, man. Got excited.
Hey, you're wasting Ben's time.
Sorry.
Do we need to add an asterisk to this? So,
See in the name.
old Beetle production went,
Just start
at
the
least in
timer.
foreign countries, continued until
Sorry,
2003. New Beetle production and sales in the U.S. started in 96, 97. Sorry.
All right.
It's sad to see such an iconic nameplate disappear, and I even enjoy driving the convertible that we had recently, but I would have liked to seen some more evolution throughout this new iteration. So it's not, it's easy to see that that's the choice they're making. I wish they would go out with a big bang, though, before they did and make like a really aggressive
Baja Bug.
R model or a Baja
Yeah.
Bug, exactly, or
More
some
than
kind
the
of
dude
track
with the
R
engine in
model.
the rear. Air cooled.
Big
right?
Audi transplants.
Like it belongs.
Who's next? Greg?
I'll give you my hot cake.
Hotcakes.
Sweet.
Hot cakes on my hot take. I really don't care. Personally, I don't have any, and this is me, my opinion. I don't have any real love for the Beetle. I never really liked it. I can see why people like it. So if you're sad that it's going away, I feel sorry for you. But personally, I don't care. And it's sad when a nameplate doesn't have enough sales to make it keep going. But
Were you comfortable with the
happens.
amount of buttons on the wheel?
They had just the right amount of buttons on the wheel.
Well, then
I
you
can
should be
recall.
sad it's going away.
Amen.
All right.
Sorry, that's how I feel.
I'm going to side with Ben on this one, in that the new Beetle was cool for the time. Made a big splash, but they didn't really do much to update it, so it's not really a mystery why it's going away. I don't know if they expected it to have the impact that the original VW Beetle did. I don't think any car could ever do that again. So it's not really a surprise. I do wish they would have put a little more effort into modernizing it and, giving it a reason to stick around. But, people don't buy two-door small cars anymore, so it's not a surprise. But I will miss seeing it on the road.
I don't have anything major to add. Probably won't take a full 30 seconds. I'll just say, we've been down this road before. They said it was going away before, and it didn't. And I'm 90% sure they got that whole full EV range coming. I'm almost sure there'll be a EV Beetle at some point. So
True.
Super Beetle.
if you are super
That's
sad,
why I don't care. 'Cause it's
that's why
coming back.
you're right. Yeah, that's my hotcakes worth right there.
That was 25 seconds, so you came close to taking the full thing.
All right, sweet. Now moving on to a viewer question from Andy. Why is there such a wide range of horsepower between 2-liter turbo engines from various manufacturers? Some 2-liter turbos have less than 200. Some have mid-200s, and the Mercedes CLA AMG has up to 376 horses. How can the same displacement layout create such a wide range of outputs in so many different cars?
Science. No.
That is
Thank
a
you, Bill
good
Nye.
question.
Basically, a lot of it just has to do with between computer flashes and then adding things like, I don't know,
Size of your turbo.
yeah, and then upgrading compression and then
How
what
many
is it?
pounds you running?
Yeah, different.
Because even if they have the same displacement, stroke and bore can be totally different from one manufacturer to the other to make the engine more suited for one thing or
more
something else.
durable hardware inside the engine. Valve springs.
Yeah, and, a lot of manufacturers are going to tune that engine to how much their trans can take. You know what I mean? So it doesn't become a question of just the motor. You got to play all the parts in the scenario.
And what it's destined to do.
purpose
Is it
is,
for
yeah.
fuel economy or is it for performance?
So, what is the reason why so many stick with that number of 2 liters? Is that like a government thing that, in Europe there's taxes on displacement?
Everything's 2, 4, and 6, or 2, 4, and 2 liters, 4 liters, and 6 liters. Yeah, that's why all the turbo 6s are 4 liters, and all the turbo 4s are 2 liters. Yeah, that's where higher taxes kick in, and that's why all the 2 liters are 1.999 cubic inches or whatever, cubic centimeters. just to stay under the 2 liters before the initial taxes.
So is it mostly just a computer thing that determines their, the tune for the engine or whatever?
I mean, you can build an engine to do anything you want. You, like Greg said, you can go for fuel economy, you can go for horsepower, and then, the sky's the limit when you start talking how much boost you're going to put in with turbos. So,
I mean, the GT2 was boosted like crazy. Granted,
that had a 2-liter turbo.
Not a 2-liter, but there's tons of things that you can do. It just all depends on the company's goals, really.
True story. There you go, Andy. Hope that helps. Now, does anyone have a rant or a rave?
People who
Joe,
blow...
this better be a good one, Joe.
People who blow grass on the roadway when they're mowing their lawn.
Oh, good one.
I mean, I know it's the end of summer and there's not much of that left, but that...
I saw state highway people doing it yesterday with a zero turn.
It's worse when there's people driving, because then I've heard sticks and stones and stuff hit people's cars.
Break bones.
It's true. Words will never hurt me.
Yeah.
They also break windshields.
And I'm not a motorcyclist, but I've heard it's even worse for motorcycles. That grass can cause you to lose control. Is that real, or is that
Not
just
if you're Brian Robinson.
I mean, if you panic and just lock the brakes up or something, but it's just grass.
Robinson never panics.
I was panicking a minute ago when things started to go awry on this podcast, but other than that.
Is that a phone?
Well, I don't have a problem with them doing it while I'm not there, but I guess you can never be sure that somebody's not coming around the corner. But as long as they at least get it back out of the road, I would give them a pass, right?
It is disrespectful to put your crap all over the road,
You're supposed
though,
to
right?
do like 3 or 4 swipes blowing in before you start blowing towards the road, right?
Yeah. Or if you do it, then blow it off. Don't just leave it there.
That's what I'm saying. As long as they get it off the road, I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm surprised you guys didn't rant as much as I did on that. I don't know. That bugs me. But
We haven't, I haven't been doing much driving this summer, considering it's rained just about every day.
Yeah, you got to mow your grass whenever you can and blow the grass wherever you can.
They're the two sound.
All right.
that's all I got.
That's all you got, Joe. Appreciate it.
Easy one.
Hopefully you guys take care of your grass clippings out there. Keep everyone safe. Be sure to tune in to the show every week and all of our internet's locations. Thanks to Jim Bigwood, podcast creator Bob Mixter, and, of course, producer Joe Ligo for his excellent rant. And we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, WeatherTech, Hum by Verizon, RockAuto.com, and State Farm. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series, each week on your local PBS station.